Yeah.
Hello, my name is Barb Termott. I'm the Executive Director of Newton's Road. Welcome to STEM Careers with Newton's Road. In today's episode, we are here today with Rachel Ratliff. She is a Great Lakes educator with Inland Seas here in Suttons Bay, Michigan. Welcome, Rachel.
Thanks.
We're so excited to have you.
I'm really excited to talk to you guys. I love my job and I hope I can convince you to love it too.
Wonderful. So we'd love to know, first off, I guess we should start off with, I mentioned your job title, but could you give it again and say what you do?
Yes. My job here with Inland Seas is that of a Great Lakes educator. My job is delivering our programs, whether it's on our traditionally rigged schooner, on land, or in a classroom. My primary objective is to deliver our mission of inspiring Great Lakes stewardship through our science programming and experiential learning.
Wonderful. And what do you find most rewarding about your job?
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked. There are so many fun things about this job. There's a wow factor of introducing students and learners to things about the water they've never seen before. And one of our biggest wow factors are our fish, which I have here today. In my tank, we have some fish. So Barb, if I could have you join me.
Sure.
One of the most rewarding things about this job is being able to put Great Lakes ecology in students' hands, as getting them to touch and feel these things is how we're going to inspire a love for the critters. So here we have 3 round gobies, which are an invasive species to the bay. They came to us in the ballast water of international freighters or cargo ships, and that's how they got here. I think they're kind of cute, you know?
Yes.
And they are very prolific in the water, and they have a few identifying characteristics. So you and I are both gonna grab one. Go ahead, just go in there and grab one. Now these guys are gonna be just fine. They can survive, for about 30 minutes out of the water. So we're not doing them any damage at all. You can cup them in your hand a little bit. Yeah, perfect. Now a couple of things that we use to identify our gobies. How does it feel in your hand, first of all?
Wet and a little, very soft.
Very soft.
Very soft. No fins poking me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like playing dead. Yours is very sitting up. Mine's like playing dead.
It looks like he's comfortable. He's taking a nap.
Taking a nap.
There. Taking a little nap in there. Yeah. So these guys are they're much softer than a lot of students expect a lot of the time.
Super soft.
And they have these beautiful soft fins that I really enjoy. Now these guys have 2 dorsal fins, and the first dorsal fin, as we saw in the water, has this black spot.
Yeah, I see the black spot right at the top.
So that's a really important factor in their identification. And more than that, they have, hi buddy.
He's waving.
You're doing, hi. He is waving, he says hello. The pelvic fin, which is right underneath here, is rounded. It's one single fin. I don't know if you, it's one single fin. Perfect, yeah, you got it.
I have very short nails. Oh,
there you
we
go.
Oh, yeah.
One single fin instead of 2.
I've never known a pelvic fin before.
There you go, yeah. Holding them in their hands, we've got the pelvic underneath. The pectoral fins are on the side. And on the top, we have our dorsal fins. This long one down here is called the anal fin. And that's kind of a rudder. That's how these guys steer themselves in the water. And yeah, I mean, there's no better way to learn fins than to identify them with your own hands. But yeah, that's how these guys are identified. They look a lot like one of our native species called a sculpin.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah, which are, they're in direct competition with these guys. So it's important to know, hey buddy, he's okay. He's gonna be fine.
He's dramatic.
He's a very dramatic fish. But yeah, that's probably the most rewarding part of my job, is being able to put the science in the kids' hands and give them ownership. That's one of the things that's so important about inspiring that care for the water, is giving it to them and letting them know, like, this is yours. This beautiful space, this fresh water, this is yours, and we need your help in making sure it stays healthy.
Yeah. What a fun job.
I know! I'm so lucky!
So for people who only have experience working with school science teachers, how is your current job different from the science teachers that you interact with on a regular basis?
That's a really great question, especially because myself, when I was considering a career path, I didn't think I wanted to go into teaching. That was something that I was not interested in personally, and obviously so much has changed. But I think what's different between this space and a traditional classroom is that in a traditional classroom, on a day-to-day experience, you're building foundational people. You're really every day shaping a person and behavior and routine. While here, I offer truly an experience. We get to go out on the ship, we get to meet the fish, you get to sample and handle equipment and collect data. And at the end of the day, I'm not really building a person, but instead I'm planting a seed. I'm talking a little bit, I'm showing these people what's underneath the water, what are the things they can't see and why they're important and how they interact. And I mean, is a student who comes on the ship gonna completely change their life because they came out on our 4-hour program? Maybe, but probably not. But what it is gonna do is it's going to be a strong memory in the back of their mind. So in 5 to 10 years, when they're a voter or a decision maker, a household decision maker, or they're deciding how they wanna recycle or why those things might be important, when they held a fish, when they pulled up the plankton, they're gonna remember that diversity is important. They're going to remember that there are things out here worth protecting, and the water can't do it by itself. And that's the experience that I provide. They're not even gonna remember my name if I do my job right. They're mostly going to remember the things that they got to see while they were with me.
And they might even tie it back to something they're learning in school.
Absolutely, and it also may have an influence on career decision. That's myself, I took a trip like this in 6th grade on a research vessel where we did some sampling and discovery myself, and I had no idea that that was gonna get my foot in the door here with Inland Seas. So yeah, absolutely, and it will tie back into school. So I'm a partner with a traditional teacher.
Absolutely. So what sort of skills are important for doing what you do?
Oh, you have to be so comfortable speaking in public to all ages. And with that comfortability, sometimes you have to be comfortable totally biffing it. I can't tell you, working with middle schoolers especially, sometimes I want to make a joke and pretend I'm so hip, and they are so quick to tell me that I am not. But being very comfortable in front of an audience is ideal. Or if you're not feeling comfortable doing that, knowing that that's something that you can do. How can you work a crowd, those kinds of things. Also, being comfortable not knowing every answer. Sometimes a student's gonna come at you with a question that you genuinely don't have the answer to. And it's very important as a science educator that you're not filling the air with answers that might not be true. It's very important that you can look at a student and say, I don't know the answer to that. That's a really great question. And I would love if you took that home and explored it further. I know I'm going to. And that tells them, like, it's okay. It's okay that you don't know everything all the time.
So Rachel, could you talk us through a typical day on your job?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many things that are different each day when we're sampling and working with students, but some things that are the things that are the same are really important. First of all, I'm going to board the ship and make sure that all of the equipment that I need to perform a successful program is on board, available, and ready to go. I'm going to make sure knots are tied securely so we're not flinging anything over the side that we're not going to get back. I'm going to make sure that my volunteers who are helping me lead the program feel comfortable with all of the equipment that they're using and the content that they'll be teaching. And then we all gather together and get to know our audience a little bit. I tell the group, we have 25 students coming today. They're 5th graders. They're gonna have this many chaperones. If we have that information, we like to know that. And then we greet the students and do the program. One of the things that's really important when working with students is making them feel comfortable. So make sure that everybody's warm. Is it raining? Do we need rain jackets? We have those stowed down below. And next we want to give them their materials. All of our students get a logbook to record, and then I pick up anything that I drop. But all of my students get a logbook that we've created for the program itself. And here they're gonna put their name on it with a little pencil. And this is where they can record the things that they're seeing. A huge part of science is writing it down. We talked to them about that. And this is their little science notebook for the day. We do the program with all of our hands-on sampling. I let the students handle the equipment, so it's really important that I know how to operate it safely so that I can direct our students to operate it safely. Collect our samples, have a great time sailing around, and then we come back in. we offload the students and make sure they have everything that they came on board with, and then we get to a little bit of nitty-gritty data collection and organization work. Most of my instructors have a data sheet that they will be recording information with throughout the program. It's going to have things like the collection time, what kinds of organisms that they saw, maybe water temperature is important to us, and we use this data to create the teaching aids that you see that we use with the students on board. Once our data is collected, we dry the gear and stow it safely so it's prepared for the next time, and then we're set to go. We can leave and maybe get ice cream. I don't know, I think ice cream is really important as a science educator. You gotta keep the sugar up. You know what I mean? You gotta keep that energy up there.
Absolutely. If someone was thinking about becoming a science educator or working in freshwater management, what things would you suggest they know before getting into it?
I think the first thing that's really important to know about any science communication position is that it is quite competitive. There are a lot of people who have talent for speaking and passionately about science. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't go into it by any means, because while it's competitive, if you're interested in this, that's a great start. You need to be confident in the way that you speak to people. You need to be ready to develop those skills into your own personal communication style. How do you want to work with, and it doesn't have to be students, it can be adults. You can be a science educator in local government. There are a million different ways that you could be communicating the science. So that's what you need to know. It's very competitive, but you can do it as long as you're confident in the way that you speak.
So Rachel, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but can you tell us again about the importance of science outreach and being a science educator?
Absolutely. I think today, where information is so accessible, it's sometimes difficult to discern what sources are accurate. And there's an onslaught of information coming at us all the time. And acting as a science communicator, I am a person who is always checking my science and making sure that I have the most up-to-date data to share. I want to be a trusted source of information. Inland Seas Education Association is an organization that you can trust for freshwater science and data, and to be giving you the most up-to-date information. We're a verified source, we're checked.
So what do you think of the outlook for the field? You say it's very competitive. Do you see these sorts of non-traditional science education opportunities growing?
Absolutely. I think that's because the medium for science communication is always changing. Here at Inland Seas, we operate in a place-based sort of communication by bringing people to the water, to this place, to our wetland, and talking about the importance of science there. However, there are tons of online sources for science communication where you can also offer virtual experiences, and those are always growing and changing. And I think the potential for traveling science communication, really the possibilities are endless as long as you are feeling passionate and confident about what you're communicating.
So can you tell us a little bit about your career path and your education and why you came to work with IC?
Yeah, absolutely. My career path is a little bit of a bumpy one, but I'm convinced that that's the best way to do it at this point. When I left high school, I was fully convinced that I was going to be a celebrity. That was what I thought I was gonna do. Like, you couldn't have told me that I was gonna work a day in my life, which is ridiculous. And it wasn't a viable career path, so I did enter college, thank goodness. I went to school, and I also knew that I enjoyed environmental conservation. That's been something that's been important to me for a really long time. So I went to Grand Valley State University and earned a degree in natural resources management with, it's a fantastic program, super diverse. And after that, the conventional path with a degree like that is to end up in research. That's, research in academia, things like that. So I found my way to the Annis Water Resources Institute, which is a research institute within Grand Valley that talks about freshwater ecology and things like that. I had an incredible mentor, Dr. Bopi Bidanda, who does microbiology and carbon biogeochemistry there on Muskegon Lake, as well as in our greater Great Lakes. I spent a fantastic, I believe it was 8 months, 6 to 8 months with Dr. Badanda, and I didn't feel like I was doing very well. I didn't feel like I was the best person to be accomplishing his research. Him and his lab manager, Tony, were both very patient with me as they threw the bumpers up as I figured out how to be effective in that role. And then Bobby was always very supportive of my writing and supported me creatively, really. And he kind of gave me the nudge to their research vessel that also does science communication, the W.G. Jackson. He encouraged me to take a couple of shifts working with students on aboard that vessel, which cracked this path wide open for me. He's an incredible mentor, which has been so important. I've had 2 or 3 really incredible mentors, him being one of them. And that experience on the Jackson led me to score an internship here with Inland Seas. In 2018, I was an intern here and loved all of my 3 months. I really found a groove in performing on the ship is essentially what I'm doing. I have a love of theater and a love of communicating science, and as I'm working as a science communicator, both of those passions are able to come together very wholly. I'm lucky that I have found this spot. And this is where I'm at now. Moving forward, I'm hoping to have more creative control in the future and work to build programs with an organization as well. Right now, I am a support staff, and that's kind of where I'm going in the future, is hoping to coordinate some programs as well.
And did you work for some companies as well in freshwater management?
Oh yeah, so that was my time with ANIS, AWRI, the Annis Water Resources Institute. I was working on a couple of projects. One was the NOAA buoy management in Muskegon Lake. And what we did there was monitor the buoys and organize the data, but we also had to take a boat out and scrub the quagga mussels off of the buoy. We hiked it up and scrubbed it clean. Freshwater is really incredible space for learning. It is not glamorous most of the time. It's the stuff that grows under there is slimy. So I did that.
So what are some unexpected challenges that you've had to face in your career?
As a bit of a type A personality, I was really surprised and frustrated when I did not end up being as great at research as I wanted to be. So many of the people that I looked up to and admired work in research, and I just wasn't able to hit home there for me. I was not finding my groove. And so the challenge there was figuring out what I wanted to do next, and having a mentor like Bobby, like a couple of my professors, Dr. Dunn at Grand Valley, who were able to steer me in this direction, was ideal.
Wonderful. So how did you know that this was the field you wanted to work in?
It's hard to describe, but I've never felt more like myself than when I'm on the ship, convincing kids that playing in the mud is cool, and that the organisms that live in the mud are worth keeping around. It's not a feeling that you can manufacture, and it has yet to be a job for me. They say you love what you do and you won't work a day in your life. I don't know if that's true yet because I'm still pretty new in the field altogether. I have a long way to go, but I know for now I can't imagine being this happy doing anything else.
So what other advice would you give to young people who are starting out in their career decision path?
No matter what you're going into, STEM or otherwise, the importance of mentors is so true. Find a good one. 2, if you're lucky. 3, if you're feeling really ambitious. Work with them, help them with their projects. Keep them close and thank them often. From a young age, I have mentors reaching all the way back to 6th grade who have helped me in this process. Mrs. Karen Weaver, hi. I thank her all the time. She's so important to me and what I do today. And so if you can identify those people who are looking out for you and work alongside them, they have experience, they have life experience, and if you come to them with an issue, I really don't feel like I'm effective in research, then they can bump you into something like, I identify these skills in you, maybe you should try something like this. You don't have to go at it alone. There are people who want to see you succeed, so find those people.
So when you find them,
do you ask them to be your mentor, or is it just a matter of that whole conversation that you've been talking about?
Yeah, I would say, I don't know if I've ever asked anyone to be a mentor. I think it's just that I can tell that they care about me, and so I work with them. I want to work on projects with them. I prove a value to them in their space, and in return, they give me advice and letters of recommendation, things like that. You want to be able to be a help to a person. It's like you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and also watch you succeed kind of a situation.
Thank you so much for sharing about your career, Rachel. It's just been fascinating learning about your journey and the work you do on a daily basis. It really has just been a lovely experience for us, and I have learned so much too. So thank you.
Thank you. I love what I do, and good luck to you guys as you're figuring out what you want to do in the world.
So till next time, thank you for STEM Careers with Newton's Road.